Hi, Christina. You are welcome, guys. Can you like for me? Thank you so much. Everywhere cast. Please like for me, Christina. Thank you so much. I love your hair. Oh, thank you so much, dear. Hi, Nova. How are you? Please like for me, guys. As you come in, please let's go like. Can somebody spam for me? Tap 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 tam pam 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 pam. Please let's tap. Please tap for me. Heart me or tap 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 tap. Can you take the like up? I love your hair. Thank you so much. I just like. Thank you so much, Christina. Please, I need more like. As we come in, please let's tap. Let's tap 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 tap. My baby sis just said hi. Hi, baby sis. Oh, bless her. Please tap 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 for me. As you come in, please let's go like. Please let's go like, guys. Just two. We have two likes here. Please let's go like. Thank you. Please, as you come in, please let's go like. Let's go like. Let's go like. Zara, have you liked? Okeri, have you liked? Please let's go like. Let's take the like up, please. Let's take the like up to 10. Please let's take the like up to 10. Then we can start. Please, 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 please. Shall we do that really quickly so we can dive into it? Please let's do that really quickly. Thank you so much. Please let's go like. Can we take the like up to 10? Please let's do it really quickly so we can carry on. Yeah, let's take the like up to 10. Thank you so much, guys. You're welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm fine, Ashley. Thank you so much. Um, I was here yesterday. Oh, bless you. And you are here again today. That's lovely. Please let's take the like up to 10 so that we can, you know, start. We can carry on. You are so beautiful. Thank you so much, dear. Hi, I am available. Available for what, please? Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Are you available in the life or yeah? Please define your availability. I love your hair. Thank you so much. Guys, let's go. Okay. We have the first person here, which is Christina. A big shout out to Christina. She was the first person here. You're so pretty. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Mackenzie. A big shout out to Haya. Big shout out to Adrena. A big shout out to Haya. Big shout out to Lila. Thank you. Big shout out to Kiki. Big shout out to Lila. A big shout out to Georgina. A big shout out to Mira. What did Jeremy they do? Gerard not great come again. A big shout out to Yusro. A big shout out to Wealthy. Let's go. My God, thank you. You're welcome. A big shout out to Anya. Please let's go like and subscribe. Yeah, can we sub, please? Thank you so much. A big shout out to Millie. Happy birthday to you, darling. A big shout out to Lila. Okay. A big shout out to Mira. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Westin. Shout out to Mira. Kiki, I am bursting in tears. Why are you crying? A big shout out to Westin. A big shout out to Me Senzi. A big shout out to Martina.
Why do you with my boo?
Shout out to, thank you. Yeah, shout out to Shelby. A big shout out to Annalise. A big shout out to Loki. In my ham. Oh, Loki passed. Who is Loki? Is it your doggy or cat? A big shout out to Alonda Hemadex. Shout out to Lizzie. A big shout out to Tandeka. A big shout out to Isla. Please, if I'm chatting with you, you said somebody low key passed. Please, I might not see your comment. Please just quickly put down your comments before you know more comments start coming in, because I might not see it. So any question I ask you, just quickly put it out, because I might not see your comments because it is coming very fast. And if I didn't see it, you won't be happy. And I won't be happy as well. So except to start giving more effort to put out the comments, you know, posting it more and more for me to see it. So it's better now just post it, let me know what is happening, okay? And I wish you all the best. And please take heart, okay? Be strong. Yeah, please be strong. All right, guys. A big shout out to Poppy. Guys, I'm sorry. Somebody just put something down that he lost something. So I'm just kind of want to know what is going on and make sure he's fine or she's fine. A big shout out to Tony. A big shout out to Isabella. A big shout out to Lizzie. A big shout out to Lila. A big shout out to Quincy. A big shout out to Sean. A big shout out to Millie. A big shout out to Luke. A big shout out to Sean. Yeah, we are having a shout out here now, and putting putting a question or something on the comment section, yeah, might want to distract people. They might not want to listen and all of that. So the purpose for this live stream is to give people a shout out. If you have any question you want to ask, or anything you want to say, it should be at the end of the stream. Okay, please bear with me. Okay, I will answer your questions at the end, probably 10 minutes to the end of the stream. Please. Okay. Sometimes it destabilizes me, giving people shout out and answering questions the same time. You know, it's just so, to me, it does disorganize me. So please, let's wait, please. Okay, let's go. Guys, drop your names back to back. I'll give you a shout out. A big shout out to Maddie. A shout out to Victoria Tons. A big shout out to Macy. You're welcome. A big shout out to Phoebe. A big shout out to Vivi. Shout out to Sana. A big shout out to Annelise. Shout out to Chiara. Emily. A big shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Luke. Shout out to Lizzie, your lovely sister. A big shout out to Annie. A big shout out to Phoebe. A big shout out to Nice. A big shout out to Lizzie. Oh, Lisa, your lovely sister. A big shout out to Icon. A big shout out to Mary. Shout out to Alicia. A big shout out to Helly. A big shout out to Kate. A big shout out to Messi. Big shout out to Lexi. Big shout out to Lena. A big shout out to Victoria. Big shout out to Yodi. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Sean, the icon. A big shout out to Lenny, your lovely sister. Shout out to her, Charlotte. A big shout out to Lehi. Shout out to Claudette. Claudette. A big shout out to Rave. A big shout out to Yodanos. A big shout out to Kayla. A big shout out to Christina. A big shout out to Aya. Aya. A big shout out to Kaden. A big shout out to Aoife. Hi, Claudette. How are you? A big shout out to Kiki. A big shout out to Isabella. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Lucas. Shout out to Alexa. Shout out to Owen. A big shout out to Alice. Shout out to Rosita. A big shout out to Lizzie. Shout out to Paisley. A big shout out to Alice. A big shout out to Delina. A big shout out to Tessa. Shout out to Cassidy. A big shout out to Lisa. A big shout out to Amanda. Let's go, guys. Please, let's take the like up to 25. A big shout out to Hellis. A big shout out to Shannon. A big shout out to Amanda. A big shout out to Layla. A big shout out to Hellis. Guys, let's put down our name. You just subscribe. Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you. Please, let's take the like up to 25. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Amali. Shout out to Caleb. A big shout out to Awin. Shout out to Erin. They go learn in a hard way. Big shout out to like very. Is that your name? A big shout out to Alicia and Healy. A big shout out to Nadine. Let's go. A big shout out to Yusuf. Hi. Guys, let's go. A big shout out to Bella. I'm good, thank you. Please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Rebecca. I think it's Rebecca. Yeah. A big shout out to Lewis. A big shout out to Nava. A big shout out to Darcy. Shout out to Senna. Shout out to John Cena. Shout out to Sierra. A big shout out to Vinny. Let's go. A big shout out to Phoebe. Big shout out to Vinny. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. Big shout out to Kiki. Big shout out to Faith. A big shout out to Odresco. A big shout out to Erica. A big shout out to Phoebe. Guys, please like and subscribe. I subbed and like. Thank you so much, my darling. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Pot. A big shout out to Omili. Yes, I do remember you. A big shout out to Dinura. Big shout out to Chloe. Big shout out to Zaye. A big shout out to Alexandra. Some spellings are not correct, so I just try correcting it. A big shout out to Kendra. A big shout out to Datsy. Oh, I was yesterday. You're welcome, dear. Thank you for joining. A big shout out to Joy Boy. A big shout out to Nix. A big shout out to Zena. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I'm your bigger fan. Nice to meet you. Welcome, my darling. A big shout out to Zaina. A big shout out to Annalise. A big shout out to Alicia. Shout out to Elisa. Shout out to Loti. Shout out to Mali. Shout out to Aidin. Shout out to Mali. Shout out to Ellie. Big fan. You're welcome, my lovely fan. God bless you. A big shout out to Darcy. A big shout out to ID. A big shout out to Joe Boy. A big shout out to Helly and Selt. A big shout out to Darcy. A big shout out to Bill. Shout out to Alexa. A big shout out to Beltina. A big shout out to Seth Cat, your lovely friend. A big shout out to Bettina. Guys, thank you for liking and for subscribing. Please, if you have not subscribed, please let's go subscribe. A big shout out to Copper. A big shout out to Fion and Kawin. A big shout out to Lila. Let's go. I am your biggest supporters. Thank you, cookies. I love you. A big shout out to Helly. A big shout out to Darcy. A big shout out to Bang Chang. A big shout out to David. A big shout out to Lauren. A big shout out to Belle. A big shout out to Olivia. A big shout out to Daisy. Oh, a big shout out to Dark Cry. A big shout out to Amira. Is it Dark Cray? I think he said Dark Cray. A big shout out to Aubrey. A big shout out to Laya. A big shout out to Solomon. A big shout out to Matilda. A big shout out to, thank you, Cookie. A big shout out to Ben. Please tell me how to pronounce it, Darcy. I'm struggling. A big shout out to Massey. A big shout out to Saka. A big shout out to Kwesi. A big shout out to Amira. Shout out to D Tambo. Shout out to Arabella. A big shout out to Aliza. A big shout out to Ayana. A big shout out to Annie. A big shout out to Nalarus. Shout out to Bibian. A big shout out to Amira. You are the best YouTuber I ever seen. Thank you, darling. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Yasmi. A big shout out to Nana Rose. You're welcome. A big shout out to Millie. Shout out to Nicole. A big shout out to Dak. A big shout out to Nella. Yes, Queen. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Kaylee. A big shout out to John. A big shout out to Leslie. That's that crap. Please, you need to tell me how to pronounce it. Else, there's no point because I won't be able to pronounce it and you won't be happy about it. So, please, I won't call your name till you teach me how to pronounce it. All right. Yeah, you were not happy the way I pronounced it, so I don't want to say it again so you don't get offended. I won't say anything till you tell me the way to sound it. Thank you. A big shout out to Lily. A big shout out to Kiki. A big shout out to Winnie. A big shout out to Bristol. A big shout out to Morgan. A big shout out to Melody. A big shout out to Jana. A big shout out to Max. A big shout out to Ollie. A big shout out to Noria. A big shout out to Tina. A big shout out to Soegs. A big shout out to Lisa. A big shout out to Kennedy. A big shout out to Junkyard. A big shout out to Junkie. Let's go, guys. Drop your names. Don't forget to subscribe. Please let's subscribe and like. A big shout out to Kim. A big shout out to Claudia. A big shout out to Abigail. A big shout out to Zoe. A big shout out to Ella. A big shout out to Dalexa. A big shout out to Ima. A big shout out to Kim. A big shout out to Ella. A big shout out to Annalise. A big shout out to Gani. A big shout out to Temi Jokbelo Onifade. Beautiful name. A big shout out to Paige. A big shout out to Allah. A big shout out to Lydia. A big shout out to Annalise. Shout out to Alice. Shout out to Lara. Shout out to Gabriela. A big shout out to Emilia. A big shout out to Alison. You are the best. Thank you so much. You are also the best. Thank you. You all are amazing. A big shout out to Emily. A big shout out to Josh. A big shout out to Anita. A big shout out to Ella. A big shout out to Layla. A big shout out to Sissy. Let's go. Yes, girl. A big shout out to Lucky Big, Totu, Azel, Bier, Pixel, Winter, Copper. A big shout out to Lauren. A big shout out to Melody. A big shout out to Kaylani. Guys, let's go. Please, let's go like and sub. Thank you. A big shout out to Oli, Joel, and Theo. You love my hair. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Zara Bennett. A big shout out to Pokemon Games. A big shout out to Alfie. A big shout out to Emily. A big shout out to Jeff. A big shout out to Krista. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Bristol. Shout out to Jaga. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Let's go, 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 go. A big shout out to Bobby. A big shout out to Ella. A big shout out to Anita Ibrahimovic. A big shout out to Mata. A big shout out to Tinley. Shout out to Alison and Tommy, Sonny. A big shout out to Ella. Big shout out to Joyce. Shout out to Ella. A big shout out to Sophia. A big shout out to Ima. You are the best. Don't give up. Thank you so much. Thank you. A big shout out to Joanna. A big shout out to Purity. A big shout out to Jasmine. A big shout out to Isla. A big shout out to Dad Accra. A big shout out to Mickey. A big shout out to Danny. Shout out to Jaisley. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Shout out to Rosie and Mike. Shout out to Minnie. A big shout out to Kia. Let's go. A big shout out to Lily. A big shout out to Minnie. A big shout out to Kaylee. A big shout out to Van Zello. A big shout out to Bibian. A big shout out to Shifa. A big shout out to Maya. A big shout out to Ali. A big shout out to Williams. Happy birthday to you, dear. A big shout out to Ariana. A big shout out to Kai. A big shout out to Alice. Shout out to Leila. Shout out to Anna. Shout out to Ayesha. You are so pretty from Maya. Hi, lovely Maya. Thank you so much. You're gorgeous too. A big shout out to Molly. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Melody. A big shout out to Jose Allen. A big shout out to Peyton. A big shout out to Afasana. I love you too. Kiki, I miss you. I miss you too, Maya. I miss you. Now you are here. Thank God for that. A big shout out to Jada. Shout out to Maya. Shout out to Mia. A big shout out to Afasana. A big shout out to Eva. I was waiting for you as well. A big shout out to Kingsley. A big shout out to Jassy. A big shout out to Kara. Oh, thank you so much, gorgeous Maya. A big shout out to Laura. A big shout out to Chloe. A big shout out to Laura. A big shout out to Lucy. Let's go, guys. A big shout out to Aria. Shout out to Jade. Shout out to Bina. Shout out to Cloda. A big shout out to Bina. Thank you for sobbing. Thank you, darling. A big shout out to Jazz. A big shout out to Zena. A big shout out to Kiki. That's me. That's me. That's me. Thanks, Maya. A big shout out to Jazz. Let's go. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. That's me. Guys, let's go. Please, let's like, and let's subscribe. Pride. Can you take the like up to 55 for me? I'm sorry, I was muted. So sorry. Oh my god. The big shout out to Lindy. Big shout out to Naria. So sorry. A big shout out to Sky. Can you take the like up to 55 for me? A big shout out to Crystal. A big shout out to Tanja. Big shout out to Lena. Shout out to Pops. They even play well. They play rich Nigeria. Eh? A big shout out to Scar. It's Kate. Hmm? A big shout out to Liam. A big shout out to Dottie. Guys, let's take the like up to 55. Shout out to Lara. Shout out to Ima. Shout out to Summit. Shout out to Flying. Shout out to Penelope. Shout out to London. Shout out to Isabel. Shout out to Ben. Shout out to Bina. Shout out to Amelia. Shout out to Unyima. You were here this morning. Thank you, Amelia. Thank you. Shout out to Super. Shout out to Inyima. Shout out to Right. A big shout out to Ellie. A big shout out to Dottie. I love you. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Sunny. Sunny. Shout out to Maya. Let's go. Please drop your names. Shout out to ZB. Shout out to Vina. Shout out to Savannah. You're welcome. Shout out to Wiz. Shout out to Johnny's. Guys, please let's go like. Can we take the like to 55 for me? Thank you. Shout out to KK. Shout out to Tristan. Let's go. Let's go, guys. A big shout out to. Can you do? Shout out to Jahe. Shout out to Bella. Guys, please drop your name. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A big shout out to Ava. A big shout out to Mia. Shout out to Anam. Let's go. A big shout out to Nimrit. Shout out to Han. Shout out to Jahe. Shout out to Sammy. Shout out to Brazil. A big shout out to Jasmine. Let's go. A big shout out to Demi. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. A big shout out to Junior. Hi. A big shout out to Claudia. A big shout out to Ben Bendova. You're welcome. Gorgeous. Guys, let's go like and sub. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Luna. Shout out to Danny. Shout out to Miranda. A big shout out to Scarlett. Guys, let's take the like to 60. Shout out to Sophia. A big shout out to Kiki. A big shout out to Cathy. Guys, let's take the like to 60. Please let's subscribe as well.
How they so brief?
A big shout out to Anita Domp. A big shout out to Iyana. A big shout out to Erica. Hair baited in patience, power, and devotion. Yeah, lovely write up. A big shout out to Tyra. A big shout out to your lovely cousin Patricia. A big shout out to Zakia. Shout out to Melissa. Shout out to Tanya. Guys, let's go. Let's go. Go. Please, let's go subscribe. Shout out to Sydney. Shout out to Ari. Shout out to Zakia. Shout out to Aurelio. Kiki, carry your assignment book and put it in your bag. Quick. Shout out to Dana. Yeah, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Shout out to Albania. I love your stream. Keep it up. Thank you so much for the encouragement, Vina. God bless you. I love you all. Thank you so much. You all that have been encouraging me. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. A big shout out to Dottie. A big shout out to Mike Hunt. A big shout out to Ali. Let's go, guys. Please, let's go like and sub. A big shout out to Ali. I love your life. Thank you so much, Aria. Thank you for the... I love you too. A big shout out to Fatima. A big shout out to Simena. A big shout out to Daniela. Thank you so much. Shout out to I like your hair. Thank you. Please let's go like and subscribe. A big shout out to Raisel. Shout out to Brooke. Shout out to Giovanni. Shout out to Zoe. Let's go. Shout out to your lovely bestie, Jessica. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. A big shout out to DC. Shout out to Aubrey. Shout out to Amelia. I love you too. Big shout out to Marina. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Taylor. Please let's take the like up to 65 and also let us like and subscribe. A big shout out to Lore. Let's go. A big shout out to Samira. Shout out to Maya. A big shout out to Mano. Shout out to Landun. Shout out to Hello. Shout out to Dana. Shout out to Mari. A big shout out to Yusef. Guys, let's take the like up to 65. Thank you so much. I love you all. Please don't forget to like and also to subscribe. A big shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Anna. Shout out to Mariana. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to Samira. Shout out to Ocean. Guys, let's take the like up. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Ailey. Shout out to Onta. Shout out to Saura. Let's go. Shout out to Lucky. A big shout out to Presley. Big shout out to Soul.
So what did they ask you to find?
Yes, thank you so much. Guys, let's increase the like. Let's take the like up and don't forget to subscribe. Big shout out to Hey you. Shout out to Sienna. Shout out to Zarich. A big shout out to Eileen. A big shout out to Rosia. Big shout out to Salam. Guys, let's go. Let's like and subscribe. Let's go, let's go, let's go. A big shout out to Yusef. A big shout out to Nia. I love you too. A big shout out to Tarin. A big shout out to Avi. Thank you so much. You love my voice. Thank you. Slain. Big shout out to Junior. Thank you for that lovely comment. A big shout out to Ariana. Shout out to Hyrak. Shout out to Kaysley. Shout out to Ariana. Harvey, the book is not here. Yeah, I don't think people are patient to, yeah, to write their names down. Yeah, it's taking a lot of, time. So that is why. A big shout out. Yeah, just keep being yourself. Thank you so much for that lovely comment. God bless you. A big shout out to Esley. Love you too. Thank you, darlings. Thank you so much. A big shout out to KK. Shout out to Sheena. Shout out to Skyly. Shout out to Jack Young. Shout out to Liam. A big shout out to Ruby. Guys, let's go. A big shout out to Priojit. Let's go, let's go. A big shout out to Brandon. A big shout out to Layla. Shout out to Miranda. Let's take the like up to 75. Let's go, go, go. A big shout out to Maddie. A big shout out to Jakia. A big shout out to, thank you so much for your words of encouragement. God bless you. A big shout out to Echo. Yeah, shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Dala. A big shout out to Ezrai. Let's go. A big shout out to Jack Leah. A big shout out to Doti. A big shout out to Helly. A big shout out to Henry. A big shout out to Danielle. Shout out to Ava. A big shout out to Ima. You put it, thank you so much. A big shout out to Josia. Shout out to Nora. A big shout out to Shayna. A big shout out to Nova. Shout out to Emanuela. A big shout out to Cake Ninja. Shout out to Muffy. A big shout out to Arabella. Thank you so much. Shout out to Ima. Shout out to Zebra. It's a compliment. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Lexi. A big shout out to Rosemba. A big shout out to Abby. A big shout out to Natalie. Shout out to John Cena. Shout out to Lexi. Oh, you're welcome, dear. Big shout out to Neela Ocean Joes. Guys, let's take the like to 80 and let's subscribe. Let's subscribe. Just 10 seconds. Okay, let's go. Please drop your names now, back to back. Yeah, let's drop you our names. A big shout out to Maya. Shout out to Doti. Shout out to Bintu. A big shout out to Natalie. Shout out to Moana. A big shout out to Renato. Shout out to Patrick. Shout out to Carly. A big shout out to Mimi. Shout out to Patrick Star. Shout out to Osho. Shout out to Scarlett. Shout out to CCC School. Shout out to James Book. Can you say a big shout out to Mia? Mia, please subscribe and you are welcome. Nice to meet you. Shout out to Bintu. I love you. A big shout out to Sienna. I love you. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Arabella. A big shout out to Adre. A big shout out to Angelina. A big shout out to Kiki. Shout out to Bristol. A big shout out to Lucy. A big shout out to
Leave all these ones.
very.
Go and solve this one for me.
Let's
Go and
go.
solve it for
Please
me.
let's
You
go
play the
like and
subject
subscribe. Thank you so
for
much,
example, one
darlings.
example to go and solve it for me. It's
A
still
big shout
reading
out
the
to
subject because you are doing your own.
Tyler. Shout out to Keanu. Shout out to
Solve
Avo.
it the way they solved it, not the way you are solving
Shout
it.
out to Cake Mix. Shout out to Lindsay. Shout out to Daniela. Keep going, never give up. Thank you so much, Sakura. God bless you. Big shout out to Amira. Shout out to Lizzie. Shout out to Quincy. Shout out to Tindy. Shout out to Laura. Shout out to Martina. Shout out to Nash. Shout out to Kavin. Shout out to Mali. Shout out to Kavin. Shout out to Darcy. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to Ombre. Shout out to Savi. Shout out to Mali. Thank you so much. Shout out to Irene. Shout out to Lace. Shout out to Corthin. Shout out to Alandra. Shout out to Anika. Guys, let's take the like up to 85. And also subscribe, guys. Guys, subscribe. Thank you so much. Guys, please let's go subscribe. Thank you so much. Shout out to Julia. Shout out to Lana. Shout out to Raheli. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to Naya. Shout out to Egg2. Thank you so much. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Mali. Shout out to Lahila. Shout out to Ethan. Shout out to Julia. Shout out to Barrera. What did they talk say Nigeria? Not fit play them. Say Nigeria not fit play and because of the crowd. Now just the talk with no be.
Now today, Nigeria started the face crowd.
A big shout out to Kihana. A big shout out to Robinson. Shout out to Frandashka. Shout out to Nihima. You're welcome. Please let's go like and subscribe. Can we take the like up to 90? Please. Guys, please, if you're just joining, please let's take the like up to 90 and let's subscribe. I remember you, dear. A big shout out to Ellie. A big shout out to Naya. Please let's take the like up to 90 and let's subscribe. A big shout out to Julia. A big shout out to Abigail. A big shout out to Maria. A big shout out to Robinson. A big shout out to Safia. A A big shout out to Electroy. A big shout out to Jazz. Shout out to Alondra. Shout out to Harlan. Shout out to Roya. Please let's take the like up to 90, please. I need one amazing person to complete the like, please. Please, let's go. Let's go, 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 go. And let's subscribe as well. Thank you so much. I love you all. A big shout out to Evans. A big shout out to Ella. Hi. A big shout out to Lena. Yeah, let's go. A big shout out to Maria. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Howard. Shout out to Maria. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to David Broccoli. Shout out to Jeremiah. A big shout out to Shadik. Let's go. A big shout out to Natalie. I subscribe. Thank you for subbing, guys. Can we take the like up to 100? Let's go, 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 go. A big shout out to Arizona. Please, let's take the like up to 100. God bless you. Thank you, guys. A big shout out to Sue. Shout out to Polly. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Lola. Shout out to Hayden. Shout out to Ketsia. Shout out to Polly. Shout out to Mike.
I'm just cutting this.
Guys, let's like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
Mommy, I'm just
Shout out
cutting
to
this.
Mike. A big shout out to Natalie. A big shout out to Rama. Shout out to Pinkless. Shout out to Simrat. Shout out to Maria. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Let's take the like to 100. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Very. Big shout out to Sherry. Guys, let's take the like up. Let's like and sub. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Zalia. Big shout out to Cough Tone Camera 4K.
That's so many.
A big shout out to Mia. You're really pretty. Thank you so much, my darling. You're gorgeous too. A big shout out to Mela. Let's go. Drop your names. A big shout out to Anna. A big shout out to Jack. Guys, let's take the like up to 100. Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe, my darlings. A big, please, let's take the like up to 100 and let's subscribe. Just for 10 seconds.
Look, so I did this. Wait.
A big shout out to Monica. Shout out to.
Stop!
Oh, shout out to Tana. A big shout out to Kalani. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Victoria. I remember you. Shout out to Kalani.
Stop!
Shout out to Mandara. Shout out to Ink. Inkna. A big shout out to Aurora. Big shout out to Kimaya. Who did your hair so cute? Thank you so much. I did it myself. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for the 100 like. I'm super thankful. And I appreciate you all. A big shout out to Haley. A big shout out to Ava. A big shout out to Jeremy. God loves you too. A big shout out to Amanda. A big shout out to Miracles. A big shout out to Chloe. Big shout out to Layla. A big shout out to Tsunami. A big shout out to Lee. Shout out to Anicia. Shout out to Monica. Shout out to Monique. Shout out to Shahad. Shout out to Costanza. A big shout out to Kalina. A big shout out to Alice. Shout out to Awanda. Shout out to Kiraya. Shout out to Shigozie. Please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Please let's like. Thank you for tapping. God bless you. Let's subscribe as well. A big shout out to Haley. Thank you for spamming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A big shout out to Kata Krista. A big shout out to Lily. Shout out to Mandaria. A big shout out to Awand. Good night from South Africa. Night night. Sweet dreams. Yeah, thank you so much. A big shout out to Kiki. Let's go, guys. Let's go. A big shout out to Onyx. Hi, dear. A big shout out to Adi. Long time. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Kay. A big shout out to Eileen. Shout out to Kay. Shout out to Lila. Lila. Shout out to Sierra. Guys, drop your name back to back. If I've not called you, please drop again. A big shout out to Chima. A big shout out to Lila. A big shout out to Tash. A big shout out to Tashna. Please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Let's go like and subscribe. A big shout out to Emily. Shout out to Sia. You're welcome. You're welcome. Shout out to Shapia. Yeah, shout out to Fags. Shout out to Sarah. A big shout out to Fausia. Let's go, let's go. Please like and subscribe. A big shout out to Pavat Seeds. A big shout out to Chisom. A big shout out to Bob. A big shout out to Unwama. A big shout out to Pavasi. A big shout out to Fatima. Please let's go like and subscribe. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. A big shout out to Dana. Please drop your names back to back. Drop your names back to back. I'll give you a shout out. A big shout out to Liliana, your lovely sister. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. A big shout out to Pavlova. A big shout out to Junilis. Let's go. A big shout out to Lee. A big shout out to Maria. A big shout out to Pavat. Shout out to Christine. Thank you so much, darling. Thank you. I'll see you soon. A big shout out to War Girl. A big shout out to Maya. Shout out to Vanessa. Let's go. Please, let's like and sub. A big shout out to Edwin.
I think I understand.
All right, my darling. A big shout out to Kaylani. Shout out to Ella. Please, let's go like and subscribe. A big shout out to Pharaoh. A big shout out to Fan. Oh, your hair is clocking. Thank you so much. Clock it. Let's go. A big shout out to Sarah Pride. I tell her me put this book for a bag. A big shout out to Lena. Let's go. A big shout out to Leaning. Please let's go like and sub. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Mackensley. A big shout out to Hella. A big shout out to Seed. A big shout out to Mommy. Shout out to Hella. Shout out to Lilac. Shout out to Maya. Shout out to Miss. Shout out to David. Shout out to Mackensley. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Isabella. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Please let's go like and subscribe. Let's go, 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 go. A big shout out to Kumo. A big shout out to Hayden. Shout out to Elisa. Shout out to Annalink. Yeah, let's go. Shout out to Storm. Guys, let's like and subscribe. Let's go, guys. A big shout out to Lena Collins. A big shout out to Sam. A big shout out to Lena Collins. Yeah, please, guys, let's subscribe.
Okay, let me do my mama. Let me do the actions. Okay, I'll try to do. I don't know what action.
Let's go. A big shout out to Stanley. A big shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Pankarina. Please, let's go subscribe. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Shania. Shout out to Cody Robinson. Shout out to Stanley. Yes, so I just joined the live boat. Oh my god. Your braids are so cute. Oh, thank you so much, Zara. Please like and subscribe for me, Zara. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Nice to meet you. A big shout out to Shania. I love you. Thank you so much. Love you too. A big shout out to Stally. Let's go, guys. Please let's like and sub. A big shout out to Krista Shoemaker. Nice to meet you. You're welcome. You said, no worries, no worries. You're welcome, darling. Yeah, I love braids. Yeah, I love braids. A big shout out to Shania. A big shout out to Heidi. A big shout out to Sienna. Yes, I remember you. A big shout out to Jaslyn. I love you all. Thank you so much, darling. A big shout out to Libby. Big shout out to Libby. Guys, please, can we take the like up to 120? Let's take the like up to 120. And please subscribe. Thank you. A big shout out to Brie Perry's. A big shout out to Lily. Love you, Maud. Yeah, thank you so much. A big shout out to Casey. So much better. Thank you. Make your day so much better. Anytime, darling. Anytime. Just click on the notification button. I go live every day and I'll give you a shout out. Trust me. Yeah, guys, please let's go subscribe. Thank you so much. I love your hair. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Alena. A big shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to Jacob, Lorenzo, Ima. A big shout out to Miku Fori. A big shout out to Luna. Where are you from? I'm from Nigeria, but I live in the UK. A big shout out to Lee Milo. A big shout out to Nala. Yeah, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you. A big shout out to Tavin. Yeah, let's go, guys. A big shout out to Shenene. Oh, you subscribe. Thank you so much, darling. A big shout out to Chloe. You are proud Irish. Nice to meet you, dear, all the way from Ireland. Thank you so much for coming. Please subscribe. God bless you. A big shout out to Teda. A big shout out to Mila. Shout out to Sherry Kane. Shout out to Avaye Faye. Shout out to Skylar. You're welcome. You are so nice and pretty. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Helen. Thank you so much for subscribing, guys. Thank you so much for subbing. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Charlie's. A big shout out to Tamvin. A big shout out to Lorenzo. Thank you so much. Thank you. A big shout out to Aline. Please let's go subscribe. You're so pretty. Thank you so much. You're gorgeous, my darling. A big shout out to Molly. Shout out to Aline. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Amira. A big shout out to Chloe. Guys, let's go subscribe. Thank you so much. Yeah, a big shout out to Rayleigh. A big shout out to Mia. A big shout out to Leave. Hi, Leave. Please, let's go subscribe. Thank you. Can you hear me now? A big shout out to Lulu.
Mommy, Daddy's gonna tell me.
A big shout out to Peyton. A big shout out to Elise. A big shout out to Anna. Nice to meet you. Please, let's go like and subscribe. Shout out to Sienna. Have you ever visited Ireland before? No. A big shout out to Elise. A big shout out to Chloe. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Can we take the like to 120, please? Please, let's take the like up to 120. A big shout out to Johnny. A big shout out to Hala. Hala, my old subscriber. You're welcome, darling. A big shout out to Sophia. Guys, let's go like and sub. Thank you so much. Let's go, guys. Please, let's go like and subscribe. God bless you. Go close to him. It's please let's go like and subscribe. Big shout out to Beatrice. A big shout out to Beatrice. A big shout out to Macy. Guys, let's go subscribe and like. Thank you. A big shout out to Vero. A big shout out to Aubrey. Big shout out to Nohemi. A big shout out to Daphne. Yeah, please, before I go, can you please say goodbye to me? Okay, a big goodbye to Libby. Please like and subscribe. I will see you soon. Cheers, my darling. A big shout out to Amanda. A big shout out to Maddie. Please, can we take the like to 130, please, for me? My name. A big shout out to you, Lucky. Nice to meet you. Please go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. You're welcome to this lovely community. A big shout out to Laura. A big shout out to Harrow. A big shout out to Viviana. You love my channel. Thank you so much, darling. A big shout out to Aria. Shout out to our very Sanders. Shout out to Easton. Shout out to Cadence. A big shout out to Anya. Shout out to Felia. Let's go, guys. Please, let's go like and sub. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go. Please drop your names. A big shout out to Elizabeth. A big shout out to Daniel Reid. A big shout out to Haya. A big shout out to Lucky. Shout out to Fela. A big shout out to Ima. Guys, let's go like and sub. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
I still have two.
A big shout out to Maya Gray.
It's called Don't Kill. Should do another one.
Isho Speed is present in Morocco for the football.
Oh,
Ngono is also present in Morocco for the AFCON final. Tension is growing higher with Senegal missing so many chances of scoring. Look at him there, Isho Speed.
Actual speed! So.
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
To see actual speed. Actual speed.
He's in Morocco.
Listen.
A big shout out to Iman. A big shout out to Bella. Let's go, guys. A big shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Logan, Kelly. A big shout out to Alyssa. A big shout out to Dolinstein. Guys, let's go. Please, let's like and sub. A big shout out to Louis.
Food with oil, yeah. Oh yeah.
Please let's like and subscribe. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
A big shout out to Melody. A big shout out to Shelly. A big shout out to Darlene Wendell.
Your masses envy.
A big shout out to Nistin. Shout out to Poppy.
Please when I'm copying you.
Yeah, let's go, let's go. A big shout out to Shrimpo. Shout out to Haley. A big shout out to Zoe. Guys, let's take the like up to 120, 130, please. Please, can we take the like up to 120?
Number
130, I beg your pardon. Big shout out to Valerie King. A big shout out to V. A big shout out to Yaret Z. A big shout out to Chantel. Let's go, guys. Let's go, 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 go. Yeah, I love you all. Thank you for. Yeah, thank you for. Yeah, a big shout out to C. Hannah. A big shout out to my Ford. A big shout out to Linton. A big shout out to Liva.
What's that?
A big shout out to Sprout. A big shout out to Brady Everett.
Do you know what's up? Huh? What? Who's downstairs?
A big shout out to Fika. Guys, a big shout out to Trinity Spencer. Please, let's go subscribe. Thank you so much.
Nothing there. Look. Just touch it. No. So small.
A big shout out to Pebby. Pebu, I beg your pardon. A big shout out to Lever. Guys, let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I love you. A big shout out to Jackson Brown.
Is this too? No. Is it big? No.
A big shout out to Queen Tell.
Okay. So people.
Let's go, guys. Please, let's like and subscribe. A big shout out to Carly's Table. Guys, let's take the like to 130, please. Shout out to Hello Joy. Shout out to Medina. Shout out to Kayla Hindelmere. Shout out to Melina. Shout out to Astro. Shout out to Kim Kim. Shout out to Laura. Shout out to Kali. Shout out to Pixie. A big shout out to Ayan. Shout out to Zoe. Please, let's take the like to 130, please. And let's subscribe. Thank you, my darlings. Shout out to Nico. Shout out to Steven Taylor. Shout out to Delilah. Shout out to Shania. Shout out to Angel. Angel of my life. No worries. A big shout out to Rani D. Shout out to Ruth Stewart. Shout out to Elijah. Shout out to Alanin. Shout out to Lara. Shout out to Lexi. Shout out to Dixon Myers. Thank you so much. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Veronica. You're so pretty and gorgeous. Thank you so much. Shout out to Mia White. Shout out to Ya. Shout out to Dana. A big shout out to Alina. Thank you so much. Shout out to Kami. A big shout out to Beatrice. Guys, please let's go like. Can we take the like up to 135, my lovelies? And please let's subscribe. A big shout out to Randy. A big shout out to Savanto. A big shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Julia Brooks. A big shout out to Ali. A big shout out to Ava Grace. Please let's go like and sub. Thank you so much. Yeah, shout out to Sienna. A big shout out to Nilo. Shout out to Isabel. You're the best. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Dio. A big shout out to Melody. A big shout out to Savatora. Please let's go like and subscribe. Let's take the like up to 135. A big shout out to Samia. A big shout out to Skylar. Please shout out me. You're so beautiful. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Haley. A big shout out to Alex Yates. A big shout out to Aliyah. Shout out to Lillian.
Yeah, this is my name. It has the A at the end.
Please, let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
No, please that's what it is.
A big shout out to Lola.
Then if I is look AI. What are you doing? Guys, what are you doing? Big boy. Big boy. Oh. Big.
A big shout out to Betty Lansaka. A big shout out to Charlotte. A big shout out to Anna James.
Kiki is not so good.
Shout out to Lola. Shout out to Elliot. A big shout out to Charlotte Smith.
You are not so good.
A big shout out to Sifu Setu. Yeah, guys, let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Caroline Lewis. A big shout out to Anna James. My brother's name is James. My sibling, my brother, blood brother. His name is James. A big shout out to Sham. Shout out to Salvatoria. A big shout out to Mistin. Please, guys, let us go like and subscribe. A big shout out to Ryan. Please, guys, let's take the like to 35, please. Pride now, penalty.
No, there is the second half.
So 7, 2.
A big shout out to Ella.
Oh, this is 7.
Oh, thank you so much. A big shout out to Sarah. A big shout out to Ritzin Lewy.
Oh yeah, doing this.
Shout out to James. Guys, please let's go like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
All of the answer lines. No.
A big shout out to Jade.
Yes. Is already a pension mark.
A big shout out to Amaya. A big shout out to Freya. A big shout out to Ryan and OP and Randy and Misty. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to Harleys. Shout out to Benelli. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Sham. Guys, let's take the like to 140. Let's take the like to 140. Shout out to Jensen. A big shout out to Amia.
It's so fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out to Melissa. Shout out to Shanoya. Shout out to Elizabeth. A big shout out to Samelia. A big shout out to I love you. I love you too, dear. Thank you. A big shout out to Shannon.
What's wrong? Your parents TikTok is initially like 45. No, you know.
Please, guys, let's take the like up and let's subscribe. Thank you so much.
Almost 36. Huh? Wait, okay. Daddy, can you see a show? Mommy is 30. Can I see a show?
A big shout out to Owen. A big shout out to Leela.
Yeah, maybe.
Shout out to
We know about
Shanoya.
Mommy
Shout out to
said
Gojo.
31.
Shout out to Eza. Isa.
31 and 36. That is, you know,
Can we take the like up to 40?
that is 41.
Guys, let's go subscribe. Thank you so much.
In this house, that is 5 years older than me. I knew, I still know. Daddy, Daddy, when is it gonna be your birthday? After Jeremy's birthday, we have this Daddy's birthday. No, you want Daddy's birthday?
Shout out to Jasmine.
You have the same birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy. Stop talking loud.
Shout out to Kades. Shout out to Leela Wilson. Yeah, God bless you too. You're welcome. Thank you so much, guys.
It's been some mess every day. Go back and
Big shout out to Mike Oslong. Oh, sorry, dear. Really? You've been on this live. Thank you so much for your patience.
at least he can.
Shout out to Mark Mandeline. A big shout out to Sasha. Shout out to Jack. Shout out to Malia.
What is coming? Missy Jeremy's phone. Jimmy was finished. Missy connected. It's so connected. It's connected. Missy, it's connected. So bad. Yes, it's connected.
Shout out to Haya Dimas. Shout out to Medora.
You know people have connected around. Stop. You know you do. Just do your work, not.
No, I'm not sad. I'm not sad. A big shout out to Hey. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for your kind words. A big shout out to Aubrey. Big shout out to Bray and Fraser. A big shout out to Mandeline. A big shout out to Anastasia.
Let me look at the answers. Look quick. Before Gemma doesn't know. So let me look at the answers. Then don't look at the answers. No, that's not. Okay.
A big shout out to Devna. Guys, please let's take the like up to 145. And please let's subscribe. A big shout out to Max
What you're gonna be
Kendin Walker Hunt.
This is gonna be so
A
hard.
big shout out to Tilly. A big shout out to Marge. A big shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Alana. Shout out to Marina. Shout out to Seed. Shout out to Hey. Shout out to Kathy. Shout out to Bristol. Shout out to Avabel and Arazeli.
Kiki, turn that down. Take that one down.
A big shout out to Joanna. Shout out to Ariana. Thank you so much. Shout out to Hannah. Shout out to Rukoyat. Shout out to, thank you so much.
Kiki, go to your bed and lie down.
A big shout out to Karen with a British accent. I don't have British accent, please. A big shout out to Tiana. Hi from England. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm also in England. Yeah, please subscribe and also like. Thank you so much. A big shout out to Hannah. A big shout out to Tiara. Big shout out to Lottie. Shout out to Bella. A big shout out to Jayla. Shout out to Darcy Ween.
I should ask what you're
A big shout out to Pepet Sishon. Shout out to Christine. A big shout out to Christine. A big shout out to Eviona. A big shout out to Lisa. A big shout out to Emilia. A big shout out to Lucy, Timmy, Luke, and Billy. Guys, please let's go subscribe. Thank you so much. Okay, okay, Papa. Showing it, Papa. A big shout out to you. Thank you so much, Habum. Thank you. Please let's like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Ute, Papa, Ute. Ute, Papa, Ute.
Daddy, 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 daddy.